On behalf of Atlas Skill Tech University, a very warm welcome and greetings to all esteemed panelists and participants from India and across different time zones all over the world to day 3 of AAROHAN 3.0. It is with great enthusiasm that I, Dr. Sadaf Hashmi, welcome all of you to today's panel discussion on designing the university of the future, global innovations and learning and research. As we navigate to an era marked by rapid technological advancements, shifting societal needs, and evolving educational paradigms, the traditional university model faces unprecedented challenges and opportunities. Before we proceed into this intriguing panel discussion, let me just reiterate a few general discussions to help you make the most of this experience. For all participants, kindly use the Q&A box to post your questions during the panel discussion. Our moderator will pick the selected questions to be answered live. At the end of each session, we will share a feedback form link in the chat. Kindly fill it to receive the e-certificate. All certificates will be emailed post the summit to all the participants who submit their forms. Now I request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Hina Thakkar ma'am, to welcome our dignitaries and share a few inspiring thoughts with us.
Thank you, Dr. Sadaf Hashmi, and a warm welcome to all the luminaries present today. On behalf of the entire leadership team of Atlas Skill Tech University, to mention in particular our Chancellor, Dr. Indu Shahani, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajan Velurkar, our Executive President, Mr. Siddharth Shahani, on behalf of all my co-pro Vice Chancellors and on my personal behalf, I welcome all the distinguished speakers on the discussion today, and I thank you for having spared time from your busy schedule on a topic that is so crucial in this day and age. As educationists, it is our responsibility to see that we are catalysts in innovation and transformation. Through this summit, we aim at becoming a pioneering platform dedicated to exploring transformative power of education and of innovation in shaping a sustainable and technologically advanced future. In this rapidly evolving world, there is the synergy between technology and innovation has become very, very crucial. There are, on one hand, cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, quantum computing, while on the other hand, we have global challenges like climate change, resource scarcity, healthcare disparities. We are presented with unprecedented opportunities and challenges every day. As universities of today, how is it that we can become influencers in ensuring that these synergies are brought out at their best? As the entire world looks towards 2050, let us all together reimagine how we can collaborate and bring in transformative solutions. Through this summit, we aim to address this multifaceted challenge and that innovation and technology present, particularly how they can be leveraged to drive societal, economic, and environmental transformation. The vision is to ignite discussions, which I am sure today our young professor, Dr. Ramaya Ambulkar, will do in plenty. He will ignite discussions. The very good questions that I can already read on the panel will bring about a lot of discussion through which we look forward to exploring the potential of technological advancement in creating solutions that are scalable, sustainable, and equitable. I look forward to the discussion, and it's over to Ameya Amolkar to introduce the panelists to the participants today. And I also welcome all these. I can see the number growing by the second of the participants on the webinar. A warm welcome to all of you. Thank you, Sadaf.
Thank you so much, Hina ma'am, for this wonderful, inspiring start. So before I hand over to Dr. Ameya Ambulkar, I would also like to add that building a futuristic academic model would certainly involve first, embedding research into teaching, including involving students in life projects, promoting innovation, and elevating learning outcomes. Second, cultivating a fluid curricula, integrating interdisciplinary competency-based learning tailored to real-world context, even supporting diverse learners through micro-credentials, flexible admission process, and age-inclusive programs. Last but not the least, strengthen ecosystem ties across academia, industry, government, and communities. And I guess to strengthen our economic ties, we have our esteemed panelists for today, bringing in diverse perspectives from all over the world. Together, we explore how to reimagine higher education to be more inclusive, adaptive, and aligned with the demands of the 21st century. With great privilege and honor, I welcome one by one all our panelists, first being Professor Colleen Macklin, professor from the Parsons School of Design, the New School USA. Professor Colleen Macklin is a game designer and associate professor in the School of Art, Media, and Technology at Parsons School of Design. In 2006, she founded and co-directs the Prototyping Education and Technology Lab, a lab that develops games for experimental learning and social engagement. They are a member of the game design collective Local Number 12, makers of the card game The Metagame 2015, the video game Dear Reader 2019. She has co-authored with Joan Sharp Games, Design and Play, a detailed look at iterative game design 2016 and iterate 10 lessons in design and failure in 2019. Professor Colleen, we are fortunate to have you with us today. Next, I move on to Professor Andrew Boyd, Associate Vice Chancellor of Research, University of Illinois, USA. Professor Boyd joined the University of Illinois in 2008 and has served as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Research since March 2020. He took on the role of Chief Research Information Officer in August 21. He is a professor in the Department of Biomedical and Health Information Sciences and the Department of Physical Therapy in the College of Applied Health Sciences and Department of Medical Education in the College of Medicine. He is also the Associate Chief Health Information Officer for Innovation and Research at the University of Illinois Health. The research in his laboratory involves data simplification to improve clinical outcomes, engaging patients, administrators, and clinicians. Professor Boyd is a fellow of the New York Academy of Medicine and of American Medical Informatics Association, AMIA. He received the 2024 AMIA Physicians in AMIA Physician Innovator Award. He received his bachelor's degree in chemistry and mathematics from Southern Methodist University and his doctorate in medicine from the University of Texas, Southwestern Medical School. He was also a postdoctoral fellow and research faculty at the University of Michigan in biomedical and health informatics. So we are really grateful to having you on our panelist today. Moving on to Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, Pro Vice Chancellor, ITM Skills University, India. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan serves as the Pro Vice Chancellor of the ITM Skills University, Kharghar, appointed in August 2023, and concurrently holds the role of Director ITM Business School in Navi Mumbai, India. With over 24 years of experience in higher education leadership, she began her journey at the institutions including Times, ICFAI, and the LB Logistics, and has led ITM campuses across Chennai and Navi Mumbai. Dr. Mohan holds a PhD in management, postgraduate degrees in education management, human resource management, and masters in English literature. A visionary in skill based education, she advocates a student centric experiential learning model integrating life projects, 5-month industry internships, and industry guided curricula via a board of advisors. Under her leadership, ITM has established centers of excellence in research, policy, sustainability, and innovation, fostering entrepreneurship through incubation cells and NGO internships. Dr. Mohan's contributions have been widely recognized. She has received the APJ Karamveer Chakra 2014, NSA Women Achiever Award, Higher Education Forum's Best Emerging Director Award in 2015, the Fine Art Society Sri Ratna Award 2017, and numerous other honors, including Heartfulness Professor Award and the Teacher as Nation Builder Award. Her leadership continues to shape ITM Skills University into a globally competitive one focused on employability, ethical values, and societal impact. Dr. Mohan, thank you for joining us today, and I'm sure we'll be inspired with your journey. Next, I would introduce Professor Marwan Al-Akaidi, Vice Chancellor and CEO, Wigwe University, Nigeria. Professor Marwan Al-Akaidi is the General Director for the Middle East and Turkey for the Ruhr University's ranking and co-founder of Eurosis, which is he's a globally recognized leader in computer science and engineering, holding BSc, MSc, and PhD degrees from Loughborough, UK, prestigious accreditations including Chartered Engineer, Chartered IT Professional, Fellow of Institution of Engineering and Technology, Fellow of the British Computer Society, Fellow of Institution of Analysts and Programmers. He has transformed institutions into hubs of innovation and research. Formerly at the De Montfort University, UK, as the head of engineering and technology, he launched the media studio and creative technology programs with the BBC, establishing benchmarks in media technology education. As Vice President of Academic Affairs at the Arab Open University, he expanded accredited programs, introduced MOOCs, and blended learning to the MENA region, along with launching 2 international journals. At the American University in the Emirates, he founded the Blockchain Center in collaboration with Dubai Blockchain, chaired international conferences, and advanced research in emerging technologies. Professor Al-Akaidi has fostered 50 plus global partnerships with universities and corporations such as Rolls-Royce, Toyota, and Nokia, supervised 45 plus PhDs, 100 plus MScs, and authored more than 300 publications. A visionary educator, he integrates cutting-edge technologies with impactful mentorship. Wigwe University welcomes him to guide students from academic excellence global leadership. Professor Al-Akaidi, I think this couldn't have been a better opportunity that we could get to interact with you. Next, we move on to Professor Michael Keppel, higher education expert, Excelsior College, Australia. Professor Keppel is an internationally recognized leader in higher education and educational technology, currently serving as the higher education expert at Excelsior College, Australia. With a career dedicated to innovative learning design, he has authored 5 books and over 100 peer reviewed articles, contributing to research projects valued at 16 million Australian dollars. Passionate about transforming learning and teaching, Professor Keppel has designed institution wide professional development programs and created award winning educational resources which integrate seamlessly into the curriculum. His expertise spans personalized and blended learning spaces, higher education pedagogy, authentic assessment, and transformative learning to design based research. A strong advocate of collaboration, he has led multinational research and cross institutional initiatives which shaped the future of global education. As president of ASCII Light, he advanced technology enhanced learning and honored life membership in recognition of his outstanding contributions to this field. Professor Keppel, I extend my gratitude for joining us today. Next, it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Rajan Saxena, former Vice Chancellor, NMIMS, former Director, IIM, Indore, India. Dr. Rajan Saxena is a renowned institution builder, marketing academic, and leader in the management education. With over 5 decades of experience across premier institutions in India. A graduate of Sri Ram College of Commerce, he has earned his PhD from the Delhi School of Economics and began his academic career at the Delhi University in 1972. Later teaching at XLRI Jamshedpur, SPJIMR, IIM Calcutta, IIM Indore, University of Calgary, and Pace University, New York. As the founding director of IIM Indore, he led its emergence as one of India's top 10 management institutes, overseeing campus development, industry partnerships, and launch of a modular executive PGDM program. He served as the Vice Chancellor of the Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies from 2009 to 2020, during which the university expanded campuses in Bangalore, Hyderabad, earned NAC A+ accreditation, and gained international recognition through global programs and academic collaborations. Dr. Saxena has published over 80 articles and 30 business cases, along with 2 foundational textbooks on marketing management and international marketing by McGraw-Hill. A sought-after advisor, he has consulted more than 50 Indian and multinational companies in branding and strategic management. He holds leadership roles in the All India Management Association, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Association of Management Development Institutions in South Asia, and chairs the India Case Research Center. Recognized with awards such as the IMA Keval Noria Award for academic leadership, Dr. Saxena continues to shape management education in South India and beyond. Thank you, sir, for joining us for this panel discussion. With the heavyweight introductions, I move on to handing over this responsible baton to our very own panel moderator, Dr. Amaya Ambulkar. Dr. Amaya Ambulkar is a professor at Atlas Skill Tech University with extensive experience in higher education and management studies. Dr. Ambulkar is extremely passionate about social entrepreneurship, experiential learning. He mentors students, supports early stage change makers, and leads international delegations to universities such as Babson College, NYU Stern, and the University of California. His contributions to education have earned him accolades like the Outstanding Faculty Award from Jaro Education and the Inspirational Leader Award presented by Dr. Indu Shahani. Holding a PhD in meditation and mindfulness, Dr. Ambulkar has also been a TEDx speaker advocating mental well being. With several national and international research publications, he combines academic rigor with global exposure, driving innovation and excellence in Atlas's postgraduate programs. So, without further delay, let's embark on this journey to envision and design the University of Future. Dr. Amaya Ambulkar, I hand over this panel discussion, and I also seek permission in case of any kind of mistakes in introducing the esteemed panel members. I apologize, and I hope that this will be an insightful session for all of you. Dr. Amaya Ambulkar, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Sabaf. A warm welcome to all the panelists. I'm truly happy that I got this chance to moderate today's conversation. Before we start, I had a confession to make. And confession is, as an educator, I'm truly scared. Scared of what? The society has trusted us to train our students, and we are expected to prepare them for careers and jobs that don't even exist today, especially with the world of AI. And I believe most educators would resonate with this feeling. So what do? We are preparing our students for the future that none of us can predict, and future that is filled with uncertainties, emerging technologies, and roles that are not invented yet. The only option left is to lean into each other's collective wisdom. And that's exactly what we are going to do today. Thank you once again for being here. We are all eager to learn from your experiences. Typically, we end with a rapid fire round, but today we are going to start with a rapid fire style question. And my first question to all the panel members is, if you had to define the university of the future in one sentence, what would that be? Anyone would like to start?
Yeah, I would like to start.
Sure.
Yes, I would like to start.
Sure.
I believe strongly the University of Future should be led by the student as well as the educator, and it should be, we go to blended learning rather than traditional learning or preparing proper leaders as a lecturer, not 1 hour ahead of students. That is not right. I think we should give the responsibility. There's always we saying teaching and learning. No, I think we should say learning. We put the learning is important because teaching is not is different way, and there are so many people they can take teaching in different manners. But learning is the important things. How we can encourage our students to learn by themselves, how they can think critically, how they can solve a problem rather than they think, which I can see across the world, spoon feeding. They're expecting spoon feeding from us. And that is not the way it should be forward. We need to stop that in one way or another. That is the way forward, I believe strongly. Let's give them the responsibility. Let's give them 80% of the responsibility of learning, and the educator, like us, we give them the 20%. And I think that is the best way, which I have my experience when building the pioneering, as a matter of fact, the blended learning in the Middle East, and I'm taking that in the United Kingdom as well. So give the responsibility to the student to learn, find the best way they can learn, and we provide them the 20% to complete the 100%. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Can I just comment, Amin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah. I quite echo what Professor Mansoor, Professor Marwan was just mentioning about. Well, the University of Future in the very first place is a learner-centric university. That's what we are seeing. Those that are evolving, that they are primarily a learner-centric university. The second is that these are the universities that are highly agile. I mean, they are willing to experiment with many new ideas, many new programs, particularly those that are going to be relevant to the society at a given point of time. And clearly, these universities are flexible, unlike the conventional universities that have been very rigid in terms of the curriculum, in terms of the academic calendar, in terms of the, that you cannot move out of the program and things like that. These are or for that matter, let us say, only the classes will be, you got to come to the campus to really learn and things like that. Today we are talking about a hybrid world. So we are really saying that, well, these are universities that are using on campus, online, and hybrid modes, all the three simultaneously. to be able to connect with the learner. And the last part of it is these are universities that are networked universities. They're networked with international partners, international universities. They're networked with edtech companies. They're networked with the other stakeholders. In other words, these are the universities that are open systems. They are not closed systems. So we've got to move out of our ivory tower and start really looking at it from the point of view of what is happening around us.
So true. So true. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Saxena. Professor Colleen, you had an opinion of how does the university of the future look like in one sentence?
One sentence. I love a constraint. So I would say that the university of the future needs to take ownership of failure, which we're going to experience around us with climate and other things that are beyond our control, and to develop resilience and creativity in the face of failure.
Super. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Colleen.
Yeah, may I?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
So, for me, the university of the future should be human-centered university, where I think today there's so much fear about technology and the pace at which it is moving. So, universities have to look at, developing humans with a human heart.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Professor Michael, would you want to share your view?
Sure. I got philosophical with this one because I think they're borderless entities, or they should be in the future, that are inclusive, create global citizens, and we exchange ideas that are going to benefit the local and global community. So I'd like to see a lot more sharing and networking across universities around the world like we're doing now, so that we can actually solve those problems that we're talking about.
Thank you for sharing that, Professor. Professor Andrew, would love to hear from you. What's your definition of university of the future?
And I would pull the definition of universities and places of higher education for the last several thousand years. People come together to exchange ideas. We have dialogue. We appreciate the diversity of perspective, the diversity of lived perspective, as well as the impact of innovation going forward. And so the university of the future needs to be a place where ideas can be exchanged, implications of technology and innovation. Not everything's positive, not everything's negative, but we need to have places outside of the market, outside of the economy, to explore these things from all of our points of view around the country, around the world. And the university of the future will look different, but coming together as individuals and exchanging ideas to make the world a better place is what I see.
Thank you, Shom. Thank you so much. It's really insightful to hear these definitions, because the good part about such kind of questions is there is no one right answer. And the good part about answers is that we get a direction to run towards. So thank you very much to the panel members for sharing your views and starting this discussion. Now we'll move to the individual questions for different members of the panel. Professor Andrew, this is a question for you. We all know that innovation comes from different sources, and one of the most effective time-tested approach to draw innovation is take inspiration from other sectors. You have deep insight into healthcare, so would love to know your perspective on that. So the question is, what is that one innovation in healthcare that has been successfully implemented, which you believe the education system should immediately adopt to become more future ready?
The one innovation that I would like to talk about is a work in progress. In the US, we've been doing it for over 20 years. And this is giving patients almost seamless access to their information from their doctors and nurses and healthcare providers. And ultimately, from the biomedical and health informatics point of view, we have gone from a very paternalistic model where the health practitioners know best, and we will make the decision for you, and we'll give you a single medication single treatment to a dialogue. And as the healthcare sector and data has helped this. So instead of paper records, we can literally give digital pieces of information to patients. But patients live with their disease 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Health practitioners will get to see slices of their lives. And the innovation is, how do we take detailed, complex information and share it with the patient? How do we empower them to make informed decisions? We're not asking every patient across the planet to go to medical school or nursing school or pharmacy school. That does, well, the universities would be well employed, but that doesn't work. So how do you help transform this very specialized knowledge and make it meaningful in ways to engage patients as they're going through their lived experience? And the education systems have to take a similar sort of point of view. Faculty have spent their years and lives focusing on one small area. How do we help the consumer or the student become empowered to take the information and make it meaningful for them? As the learned intermediaries, we don't necessarily get to decide what the critical piece of information is that will impact the students or the patient's lives. When we get to risk, how everyone manages risk is different. It might be a footnote in a textbook in the middle of a class that starts the next billion or trillion-dollar startup company. This the best example I can show you of how students take what they learn. I think FedEx, the company in the US that ships, I think he got a C on his MBA final project because the professor didn't think FedEx would actually be a company. As faculty, we have constraints. It's now an international company. It's struggling a little bit now, but again, where we find inspiration, where we find the knowledge, how we apply it. So in the health field, we are providing patients more empowerment. How do we provide students and others to become empowered to use this validated, authentic information to help them innovate in the future? So that's the paradigm that you said was a success. We are in the process. I don't think anyone has truly figured out how to give patients access to their gigabytes of data in a meaningful way. But that trajectory we should move forward with in education as well.
That was a really interesting point, Professor Andrew, because I think it will also help us as faculty members to reduce the tinge of guilt that you may have, where you reflect that, hey, I told the student from my view. Could I have given 500 other viewpoints and shared that, okay, this is my view, but by the way, you have other 40 points to look at and make a choice. And that would have been so empowering for us as educators and for students also, because they will be the owners of that decision. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, sir. Moving on to Professor Colin. We know that you're passionate about game design, and many games are multiplayer games where players collectively have to meet a target or defeat an enemy or achieve a goal. And I think similar is happening in education today, where students and faculty members have found themselves on the same starting line with all AI tools coming in. So my question to you is, how can universities turn students into co-creators of their learning experiences? Because honestly, every time when I go to class, while I come with a bouquet of tools, there are 5 other tools which I learn from the students. And I wonder, should they not be the co-creators of this journey? So over to you, Professor Colin.
Well, I mean, the answer is yes. To learn involves taking risks and being an active participant in learning. So I mentioned failure earlier. As a game designer, we focus on designing failure that helps one learn. So when you play a video game, you don't really know how that world or that system works until you actually try something out, take a risk, and fail. And in games, that failure is very low stakes. So it actually encourages creativity and risk taking. And so to me, the ideal learning environment is one where students have as much ownership over their success as faculty, and where co-creation, and the key word is creation or creativity, involves actually, not only rewarding success, but rewarding failure too. Because in order to fail, you have to take a risk and you have to try something new. So, I guess a classic example would be taking a test. If you take a test and you fail, or you don't answer all the questions right and you fail, that's usually the end of the story. As a game designer, you would never, ever, ever make a game like that. You would actually encourage the player to continue to try to mitigate and succeed their failures. So you would actually use failure as just a stepping off point, as a learning opportunity. So to me, I think co-creation involves both constraint, rules, right? Game designers make rules, but the rules we design are generative. You can be creative within that system. You can try new things. You can develop your own personal strategy and style. And I think that's very important for the learning environment. And I'll just end by saying, we learn, if you just watch little kids naturally are learners. They're just sponges. They're creative and they're learning, and they love learning, right? And that is because they learn through play. So I do think we have to re-embrace the idea of play. We're a little too serious these days. We're all doom and gloom. The world's ending. AI is going to take all our jobs. What are we going to do with our lives? I think we actually have to bring back a sense of creativity, play, togetherness, and care to the university. And part of that is, really encouraging co-creation of the curriculum of the learning journey.
Absolutely. When you were talking about discovering new journeys, I remember playing Mario, where every attempt was to discover which other places can I get more points.
That's
And
right.
that was so fun. And I love the idea of, I'm assuming it's too difficult to execute how can we design assessments as low stakes? Because that would further encourage. But thank you for sharing that view, Professor Colin.
You're welcome.
Moving on to Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. Ma'am, the world is changing rapidly. We have many educationists, like myself also. We have worked in the industry, chosen to be in academia, but we were trained in the era of Industry 3.0. We have experiences, but most of them came from Industry 3.0. And we are now moving to Industry 4.0, where even passionate educationists who have come from industry are wondering whether my experience is relevant or whether I need to relearn. So my question to you, ma'am, is how do we better support faculty to stay connected with industry trends so that the learning remains relevant and dynamic? Any best practices or any experiments that you have conducted which did this objective?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ameya. I think if we wish to make education relevant and dynamic, it is important for us to support faculties to have ample industry connect. So we tried this at ITM. Okay, we sent some of our faculties for an internship, and on a lighter vein, I lost one of the faculties to industry. But I think sabbaticals and such kind of internships definitely benefit because they learn the new technology and the new approach to work that happens in industry. And it really benefits because they come back to campus and they're able to, kind of deliver cutting edge education. That's number one. Secondly, so there are certain specializations at ITM where we have tried, connecting with startups, and especially the digital marketing students. They connect with startups, and we have projects which is brought into campus where the faculties and the students work together. So be it website making, even in the area of fintech. So there is a lot of collaboration that is brought in where faculties connect with the industry, the entrepreneurs, get a lot of understanding about what's happening and how they also need to help in those projects, new projects. So I think that's another way we could all connect with industry. Thirdly, I think it's important for faculty members to connect with industry to get experts on campus. And for us, again, that's, we being a 35-year-old institution, it it has helped us to connect with all those alums who are in very senior positions, bring them to campus. In fact, we tried something like finding out from many of them as to what kind of technology is used in their respective areas, be it
Right.
operations, be it marketing, and so on. We kind of did interviews with them, and then we came up with how different industry is from what we teach in classroom, and how we really need to buck up with what education should look like, and how we need to really prepare our students as future leaders. So that really that helped us to connect with all our alums and get the inputs from them, and they're willing to help you.
Right.
Institutions can try that out. um, Also, I think it's important for us to invest in faculty's professional development. Allow them to take up certain courses outside and prepare themselves for the new age education. What's also helped us is, the industry associations, be it QCFI or BMA, IMC, CII, and so on, where faculties of that respective expertise connect with those industries. For instance, an HR faculty would connect with an ISTD or a NHRDN, and so on. So I think there again you are connected to those experts, and one is you learn from them. You can bring them to campus. Your students learn from them. So that's another way to connect. Then attending all these conferences also benefits, because and what we do at ITM is, if a faculty is attending a conference, she brings it back to campus, and we have learning journeys. So she talks about what exactly was discussed in the conference, and how certain things could be brought into campus, and so on. That has to be brought into campus. So every faculty who goes for a conference, I think, should also be able to bring that to her or his colleagues. Then the collaborative culture, bringing in industry collaborations for so I would call it joint certification programs, right? Where you can do it with banks, you can do it with various industries, and we have tried it with some of the banks that give us the curriculum and train our faculties, or at least give them an idea about what it is that they want the students to be trained on, and the faculties become the facilitators. I think that also really helps. So a lot of joint certification programs with industry does help. It not only helps the faculties, but also helps the students to get into that particular industry or sector. Then
Right.
industry advisory boards, I think all of us do it. Get people from the industry and put them as advisors, get the feedback about the curriculum, make relevant changes to the curriculum, and so on. Another idea that I feel can work is, having a junior faculty, and we've tried that out, a junior faculty with a senior consultant, who has a relevant industry experience, and that consultant mentors the junior faculty. So that
Right.
also gives ample understanding about how industry functions. And I think a lot of, you know, I don't know whether it's possible, but if we can reduce administrative work of faculties, right? We are all into NAC accreditation and so many other accreditations that, the faculties have to do research, do events, do a lot of branding. And I mean, they're all superhumans actually. So we do expect a lot from them. But yeah, they're lovely people, and they're also, coping with all those changes that are happening in today's times. And yeah, I think also important is flexible scheduling, which we have adopted. Where you allow the faculty to have that flexibility at work, so that the faculty can do consulting projects. So every faculty is given this opportunity of having that flexibility. So I also do I do work with certain industries, and I enjoy that flexibility. And the same holds true for every faculty. So, if educational institutions support this kind of an environment, I think that will do really good for faculties to develop themselves and become more, more understanding about what are those industry practices and bring them to the classroom. And of course, create
Right.
more experiential learnings for the students.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohan, for sharing multiple ways in which we can engage with the industry, starting from low engagement ways like attending conferences to losing the faculty to the internship hirer. So you have touched upon all the different ways of engaging with the industry. Moving on to Professor Marwan. Professor, since we are talking about future of learning, we cannot ignore digital education. And you have been a pioneer in developing online and MOOC models across different parts of the globe. So my question to you is, based on your experience, where do you think digital education is moving towards, and what are the shifts that are taking place, which universities should be ready with to evolve with the changes? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for asking that question. Due to the fact I'll be talking from experience rather than just putting it forward. We started with the joint project with the Open University United Kingdom, as they been giving distance learning for about over 45 years and so at that time. And then I came with the idea of blended learning in the 7, 8 idea that people, they really, to me, distance learning, the way it's been done in the UK and the Open University, it has moved from, if you remember, there is a BBC Two program in the mid of the night when a student, they take this and they can study, or they send assignment by post and so on. And with the technology having improved and moved, and we moved digitally, it becomes much easier to have the social media, including the links and Skype at that time. Now we have Zoom. Then the Microsoft team, I decided that we have to make sure that the student, let's be frank, most of our students, they leave with the certificate, but they are not leaving with the education required for the dynamic changing market. And that is facing a problem. They get the degree, whatever degree, BSc, BA, whatever. But is that market ready for them to take them? No. Most of the people, when we talk to the industry people, these students are lacking the knowledge. So the thinking of having a blended learning, and we started in different countries, I put it because we need to make sure that what level of blended learning we can give. Is it 20%, 75, 50, 50, or 25, 75, and so on. And I think the best model to get a student of the future, depending on themselves, to make sure that they do not lose the critical thinking. They need to be solve problem. They need to be facing the world. So give them the opportunity to take the responsibility of their learning. And then the lecturer should not kill themselves really and write on the board or do this and do that for them. And then you get exhausted as a lecturer. You don't have time really to do your research. You don't have time to do involve in any industry work. You don't have time to do any other things. Truly, from my experience when I was starting lecturer, now I'm vice chancellor of university, it is a long journey. But the best way, which I have done through 16 campus across 10 countries, 10 universities established in the Middle East with the Open University, I believe we have moved even better than the Open University education. Blended learning is important. You give the student the freedom to learn, give them the tool how to learn, support them with the technology digitally, which is all available. There are so many applications. They can communicate between them, the students, because right now, when Corona became, and then I think the people I implemented the technology, they were ahead of everybody else. But with that, again, there was a problem of people taking lessons and exams over online. And most of them, to me, it was a cheating, about 80% of that. exam is being cheating. We put the 360 camera. We implemented all of that, but there is no way we can beat that. Students, they are clever, and that's why I'm saying we should give them the lead. When they try to find a way in the system, they can break the system, they cheat, they were ahead of us at least one step. When we put a 360 camera to monitor them at their house, there are another way they found out how to get breaking that. So give them the opportunity. We give them a 25, let's say, I think the American, the Australian, I don't know, in India. In Britain, what we have is the terms. We have a course by course and so on, but we don't have the credit hours scheme. And then when I implemented it with the Open University in the Middle East, it is the credit hours. Let's say we have 4 credit hours for that subject. Okay, my duty as a lecturer, I'm not going to give them 4 hours to teach them in that week. I give them 1 hour. And then I will come to the top. Let them do the digging of the subject, learn about that, and give them overall in that 1 hour. So they depend on themselves. And then a lot of people in the beginning, they don't like it. But I found out mature students, they are really coming to learn and get the degree. They will love it because they start thinking properly. And then they can have the share between them as a student experience, which is not there in the Open University. Now that gives them the platform. They can talk through WhatsApp, they can talk through Skype or Microsoft and so on. So that is the way forward. And try to avoid and encourage a student by doing so, they start thinking, why should I follow? I need to graduate as a leader. That degree, I deserve it. I know what I'm talking about. And most of our curriculum should be involving the industry, what they required, and get the industry involved in designing our curriculum, and they can be part of the education system. After you do that, you find this, encourage a student not to be employed, to be the employer. They get their own companies, their own business, and employing people to work with them. And I think with the about 45,000 students I have at that time, over 6 years, I have about, I will comfortably say, 6% to 8%, they have done their own business and they start employing people. They even start employing students and colleagues with them to work with them. And I think that is the way we should let them think. Move on, take the lead, don't be follower, be the leader. You can do it. We are here to support you, but take the responsibility yourself. Don't give me the responsibility if you're failed and so on. The other problem we found as a vice chancellor and senior management to university higher education, we started blaming our academic staff, our colleagues, if we don't get 95% success in passing this year or whatever. Why do we do that? That is wrong. So encouraging our staff to overfloating the grades, try to move them, try to do that. And that is, you need to stop it. We need to stop it within our system. We need to be open and frank. What is the problem with our system? Why are we giving degree for people they don't deserve it? Why a student, they would like me because I'm give them high grade. They don't like me because I am really strict in the marking and so on. We need to take this one in ourselves as a head of university and higher education. We go forward. A student that are capable, they will do the job, but if you give them the lean and softness, they would not be useful. Given the degree graduate, we're not making the right decision. We should not give the degree unless they deserve it. And I believe strongly when people, they get the responsibility, both lecturer and student will be happy in the end of the day. Maybe in the beginning they found it difficult, but they will, when they start using to it, and when you find them after the second year, they will sailing beautifully, and lecturer will be happy to give that, and they start moving together, and then is the product. I think it will be an excellent product.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Manan.
I would be grateful if you can. Sorry, carry on.
Sure. So one thing that truly resonated when you were talking about, I was assuming that probably the answer would be around using this technology or these are technological shifts. But you truly touched the soul of the problem, which could be the mindset. Technology is always going to remain an enabler, and it can ease things out. But if the mindset is taken care of from the student's perspective, where you said that let's call it only learning, where they are the owners of their journey, probably technology will multiply the impact that it generally can create. Thank you so much for sharing that view.
Thank you. I will seek your permission, my colleagues. I've been called for the Board of Trustees for 10 minutes discussion. There is something is going on. I will be coming back soon. Okay?
Sure.
No more than 10 minutes. If you accept.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Dr. Saxena. Sir, we often have seen in the world that great innovation don't just require bold ideas. It requires a very solid foundation to actually create that impact. And you have built institutions ground up. So based on your experience, what do you believe are truly foundational pillars for the universities of the future, which could help execute all the innovations and experiments that we are thinking of?
Thank you, Dr. Amir. Well, we have all been talking about one part, which is in common. That is, it's an era of transformation. It's an era. It isn't just change, but it is a transformation. So when we start looking at the transformation within the university structures or the higher education system, the question that often comes up is, how do we bring about that kind of a transformation? And clearly, when I was looking at the institutions that I have worked with, and I have led some of them, well, I found that these were actually speaking 5 pillars that I found. If as a leader, if I was able to focus on them, we may possibly have an institution that will not only be of that particular time, the institution will not only survive, not only be competitive at a given point of time, but it is going to be an institution that's going to be sustainable over a period of time, even when there may be a whole lot of disruptions occurring on account of either the geopolitical changes or the technology changes. Well, let me look at these kinds of 5 pillars. The pillar number 1 starts off with the learner. As I said, the university has to be a learner focus. You just cannot go away. In the value chain of the university, the very first part of the value chain is the student, is the learner. Now, we all know about the learner. We all talk about the student. We talk about everything. But seriously, the very first part of it is to really understand or to introspect. Do we really know the learner? Have we really analyzed, for example? And whenever I have talked to the faculty, whenever I have talked to the deans, well, you need to really understand who is your learner. I've got a very typical answers. They're more in terms of, their age, education, work experience, or geography, and things like that. No. I think a more fundamental part of it is the learning motive. Why is the person coming over to you? What is the reason for him to come? Given the competition, and not just merely from other universities, but even from the various technology online learning platforms that are there, I think the challenge today is in terms of understanding these learning motives and then evolving the programs accordingly, evolving the whole learning environment accordingly.
Right.
Today, fortunately, the various technology tools, particularly some of the AI tools, are able to give us a whole lot of a predictive part of it. Diagnostic part also comes up over there as to why somebody is coming to us. The other part of it is the learning style. What is this learning style? The conventional learning styles are gone. The teacher was the sole arbiter of learning. No. And as we have all been saying, it's a co-learning. It's a co-creation in a classroom. So the classroom becomes more of I would say, a hub where knowledge can be co-created. That, I think, becomes a very crucial part.
Sure.
So therefore, the student becomes the very first pillar. The second pillar is obviously, we all know, the faculty. We cannot run an institution without a faculty. Even if you have some of the technology tools, the fact is that why is a student coming to you? There is a faculty. What is it that the student is expecting from the faculty? What is it that he's already getting from the technology sources? Well, friends, I have been thinking about it, and I realize that one big difference is that from a technology, I'm getting information from a search engine or from any technology source or any learning platform. I'm getting information. But who converts this information into a knowledge? That is the role of the faculty. And I think when that role is understood by the faculty, the change starts happening. And when we start looking at this faculty, the very first clearly is in terms of looking at the competencies the person brings over there to not only the knowledge, but also the learner focus. Whether the faculty is really learner focused or not. The faculty feels that, no, this is my understanding of the subject. I'm married to my subject. I'm going to be doing this, whether the student understands me or not. That's a problem of the student. That's where I think it doesn't work. The second part of it is the technology orientation. In today's world, you just cannot survive in an institution. And in the times to come, you will not be able to further do it. And therefore, technology perspective now becomes comfort with I would say, AI, ChatGPT, and various other tools, AI tools, is important to my mind. Integrity is another part. And another is the comfortable with change. Clearly, one has to be comfortable with change, comfortable with and focus on the outcomes rather than any. The third pillar is research. Clearly, the universities are all about research, right? And research is not just merely for the sake of a research. One is tired of when a faculty comes over, or I used to get very pushed back, or I'll just get completely switched off. When somebody would say, come over and say, I have published 50 books, or I have published 200 articles. But when you start asking them, what is the impact of this research that you have done? Who has read it? What has been the impact on the society? What has been the impact on the industry? What has been the impact on the student? The answers are nil. So therefore, we are not looking for research of that kind in today's world. So therefore, we are looking at research which is both seminal and translational. And the fourth pillar is technology in today's world. I think we just cannot run away from the technology. At NMIMS, we were the first to really get onto the technology path. Right from the time when online was a little away, but we had just started off with the Z. TV had started off with education programs on the television, and NMIMS worked very closely with them to really provide the videos which were then played. But then as we moved on, in today's era, we were looking at integration with ERP packages. We were looking at, let's say, the AI or let's say some of the other social networks, etc. So we were all weaving all these technologies primarily with a view to enhance the learning experience. And so therefore, application is important. And the next part of it in technology was the digital culture. The culture of the institution has to be a digital culture. You just cannot keep the technology. You would say, we want technology, we are technology, but the thinking is not that. The working styles are not that. It will not work. And the last is the leadership and governance of the institution. That's a fifth pillar. The leadership is so very crucial in today's kind of a world. We are talking about building up a culture of learning, a culture of collegiality, a culture where we are talking about an open dialogue. That is important. A culture where innovations are encouraged. So the culture is important. And from a governance angle, clearly there are three perspectives that I would like to leave it over here for us to talk about it at any point of time. It is the ethical part of it, the ethical governance. Most of the time, we as leaders forget. We talk about ethics in the class, but when it comes to our personal lives, when it comes to our own work part of it, we are the first to not adhere to any ethical norms. Walk the talk. That is important. You just cannot talk about ethics in the class. You have no business to talk about ethics if you're not yourself ethical, and the governance is not ethical. And the next part of it is the equity, being everybody fair and just. And the last part of it is transparency. Be just transparent. Be open. Everybody. We think that as a leader, I think let me keep things very confidential. I'm not going to share it even with my wife. I'm not going to share it even with anybody, But believe me, the next day you are there in the office, the whole world knows what decisions you have taken.
Absolutely.
That is the idea. So I think my focus in all my experiences had been to really build on these 5 pillars. And this is where I keep advising the institutions also to keep focusing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Saxena. You gave us 5 different lenses to create impact. And I'm sure most of the lenses would be adopted by different universities here and across the globe. While foundation pillars are very essential, so are learning environments where learnings take place. So my next question is for Professor Michael. We know that you're passionate about learning design and creating spaces where pedagogies have true impact. My question to you is, as we are moving towards digital as the core medium of education, what role do you think infrastructure and the campuses have to play so that they aid and enhance the learning of the digital native learner? Over to you, sir.
I think one of the big things you need to look at, I think, what we class as the campus, and I think I consider it both the physical campus, the virtual campus, the blended design, if you like, in terms of what we're doing. So I look at it from, if you look at the learning environment, they're learning spaces. And the way I define learning spaces, a space that enhances learning in each of those environments is a good space. One that motivates learners is wonderful in terms of doing that, whether that's in the virtual space or the physical space. One of the big things I think we forget sometimes with any of these spaces, and I'll get back to the physical in a moment, but is that we need to work with students and staff to look at those spaces and be able to look at the affordances of those spaces. And they're the action possibilities of what we can do in them. So if we've got a classroom with collaborative tables, we can do group work, but we need to look at those in the virtual environment as well. So looking at those affordances is very important, but we have to get the teachers to perceive those affordances through professional development, and then to actualize and teach in those environments as we go through. Now, to me, in all those environments, and I don't prefer any over the other, you pick the space that's going to be most useful for what you're trying to teach. So for interactions that you want group work, you can do that online and you can do that face-to-face. And there's a great way to balance that, because some students will be better in the face-to-face environment doing it verbally. Others may be in the virtual group environment doing it virtually as you go through. So there's a wide variety of ways.
I think there is some technical glitch at Professor Michael's internet. We'll continue once he comes back. We would love to his opinion again. Moving to an open dialogue questions, considering we have 5 to 7 minutes more for the panel to close. One question that keeps coming back again and again as I talk to the industry professionals is most of them, let that be startups and industry, they are saying that, hey, you know what, in today's day and age, we value portfolios, we value what students can do, than the degree that they get to the table. So that brings us to the question that, do we think degrees are going to get obsolete in the next 20, 25 years? The question is open to anyone who would want to take a perspective on that, because industry seems to be focusing on what you can do and what you can achieve, and the portfolio and the micro skills. Where do degrees have a place?
I can go. Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't think degrees would become obsolete. But yes, along with degree, you could you could take up certain micro credentials, certain certifications, develop certain skills. But the degree, especially if it is from a reputed institution, I think adds a lot of value in terms of, the student having developed critical thinking, communication skills, ability to work in teams, and so many other aspects that come in your learnings while you're actually graduating or getting a degree. So I think degree will definitely have its own value.
Any insight from the game design world?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we need, like games, the reason games have existed for tens of thousands of years, as long as we've recorded, even prior to recorded history, is because they provide a space for low stakes learning and failure and learning through failure. So come on, universities, it's time to embrace this idea and actually help students do and learn through doing and learn through, again, like a more low stakes environment that encourages experimentation and new ideas and new knowledge.
Right. We have one more question. Yeah. Dr. Saxena, I want to share something.
I just wanted to say that, the degrees are going to be relevant, irrespective of the time, because of the. I think the one basic difference is what exists between training and education. So you can get a certificate from any of the kind of digital or online learning platforms like Google or anything. It's like that you are getting trained to do a job today and for a given time period. But then education is fun. It develops, skills like critical thinking. It develops skills like, for example, innovation, right? It develops things like autonomous learning, right? It develops things like collaborative learning. And also in terms of preparing you for the future, it gets you to research, which is so very critical. Because you can exist today, no doubt. But will you be able to survive tomorrow?
Right.
That remains a question mark if you are not there, if you haven't gone through a university training.
Absolutely. So I've been reading some questions from the audience here, and would love to come to our closing round. And Professor Michael, would love to hear your views on the physical space part of the story, because that's where probably we lost you due to the internet issues. If you want to close that comment, no problem.
Yeah, sorry about that. A bit of a dropout, I think, in the network there, but I think with the physical spaces that we're looking at in terms of for universities, they're so crucial to what we're doing in our teaching and learning. They need to be supported by technology and looking at blended learning and the online learning as we go through. How we design those spaces is very important. So if we want certain interactions, we need to actually design for them. Group work, we need to design the rooms that are going to actually allow that. If we're looking for other ways, we're going to get students involved in interactive learning. in doing authentic learning. We need to design those spaces so that we can actually examine create those spaces for them as we go through. So to me, the campus of the future needs to have that balance between the physical spaces, the virtual spaces of using blended learning, but then having an online footprint, because we all need to have skills that are going to improve both teachers and students. And it may be only 1 or 2 courses we do totally online, or if we have a preference for totally online in some areas, we do that. But we need to keep those skills so that we can actually continue to develop the digital literacy skills of the students as we go through. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I love the idea where you said that can as faculty members, we rethink spaces as teaching aids instead of a place to sit and discuss with students, where we call PowerPoint presentation and teaching aid. Probably I could consider space as a teaching aid for the subject that I would bring to the table. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to now kind of conclude and pick up some of the questions from the audience, and it comprises into one single question. And the question is, if you had to redesign, and this is rapid fire, so we need one concrete answer that comes to your mind first. The question is, if you had to redesign the university from scratch, what is that one subject that you would make it mandatory for all the students, irrespective of their majors, so that they are really prepared, or so that we aid them to face the challenges which the future brings to them? So which is that one subject, irrespective of the major, you would want every student to learn from? Professor Colin, would you want to start? And then we can hand it over to the other faculty.
Well, I'm not going to talk about games. I would say community service, honestly. I think actually getting active and engaged with your community and problem solving things that are issues around you is an incredible multidisciplinary learning experience. So I would say just be more active. And as a design educator, that's what we aim to do at Parsons. Yeah.
Very interesting.
I would
Dr.
say
Mohan,
soft skills. Soft skills, which enables them to solve problems, develop team skills, collaborate, communicate better. I think that's
Absolutely.
the need of the day.
Great. So we have community service, soft skills. Professor Andrew, one major, one subject.
One major, one subject would be critical thinking. We're going to be diluted with a lot of information from number of sources, and that information quality is decreasing across the world. And the ability to think critically in order to figure out what is the information that is accurate, that impacts, is going to be critical in all fields and all majors. Without that, we will be beholden to the information generators.
Absolutely. Professor Michael, one core subject which every student should learn to be ready for the future, or at least be prepared.
I think there's a couple I would choose, but empathy would be the biggest one. If we can teach every student and every teacher to have empathy, I think it's going to improve what we do. The other one would be emotional intelligence, and we did actually implement this at Taylor's University in Malaysia, that every student did personal competencies and social competencies in emotional intelligence, whether they did medicine or education or engineering. But the one I would choose is empathy. I think that's a big standout for what we need.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Saxena, one core subject which could make them ready for the future?
Well, I would put creativity. Because in the creative economy, unless and until the students are able to have the creative skills, they will not be able to really survive. And alongside with that is the second major part, because AI today is seriously raising a question about ethics. So I think the next big kind of which I would not want to compromise at all, is ethics. So creativity and ethics.
Absolutely. Professor Marvin, what's your take on that?
Well, I think I agree with my colleagues, but I add to it the creativity, innovation, empathy, as well as critical thinking and problem solving. That is an important part, which we need to encourage them on these. These four things is important. I believe strongly from experience rather than just come out with it. Creativity is highly important. Innovation is highly important. Critical thinking, we need to make sure that our students, they are part of that. They need to make sure they are up to that level. Problem. Who's going to solve the problem of the future? Not us. They are our future people. So we need to think of that. Of course, I agree with my colleague. Again, the empathy of the student is important.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all our esteemed panelists for a very engaging discussion. From healthcare innovation to game design to digital learning, industry relevance, hybrid spaces to institutional foundations. Your diverse
Absolutely.
perspectives have really helped me as a moderator, as an educator, I'm sure the audience to rethink when we are shaping the future collectively. On behalf of Atlas Skilltech University and everyone present here, I would like to thank you once again for taking out time and sharing your wisdom generously with us. And we hope this is not the end, this is a beginning, because in the end, none of us is able to predict future. So we have to keep leaning on collective wisdom. And I hope we engage more at different platforms as universities, as partners, and as educators at heart. Thank you very much for the audience as well for your time. And thank you, panelists, and hope to see you again. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.